Porosity and GMAW can be caused by letter A, drafts, letter B, contamination, letter C, too little shielding gas flow, letter D, too much shielding gas flow, letter E, all of the above. So the question being asked here is porosity, which can be a discontinuity in this gas metal arc welding process. So drafts can cause wind poros can drafts can cause porosities. Drafts just another term for wind. So that's why if field welding is done, proper protection against the elements must be incorporated, like tents or humpies, something like that. Contamination can also cause porosity, not just in GMAW. So if you have like dirt or whatever contaminants in your weld puddle, that will cause porosity as well. Too little shielding gas can cause moisture and unwanted gases to penetrate the molten puddle, thus causing porosity. So if you don't have enough shielding gas flow, so the weld puddle will not have enough protection to deter all the gases coming in that can be detrimental to the weld process. Also, too much shielding gas flow can cause porosity. So why is that? So if you have too much of a flow in there, it can create vortex that induces vacuum conditions around that weld puddle in there, and that will cause it to suck the gases into that weld puddle and will cause porosity later on. So too much is also not good. It should be the right amount as specified in the welding procedure specifications. So the answer here is letter E, all of the above. Which of the following are common causes of undercut when using SMAW? Letter A, weld current too high. Letter B, improper electrode manipulation. Letter C, welding electrode too large. Letter D, improper electrode angle. Letter E, all of the above. The answer here is all of the above, since undercut results from melting away of the base metal from the toes of the weld and left unfilled. So for letter A, weld current too high gives more heat to the point of melting the base metal. So if your weld current is too high, it equates to more heat basically. So the tendency is that the base metal will be melted because of that high heat input. Improper electrode manipulation. So too short a distance from the base metal can melt it, and improper manipulation can also left it unfilled. Large welding electrode will tend to melt the metal more because of its size. Improper electrode angle or work angle can affect proper weld deposition and can cause melting away of the metal. Thus, the answer here is letter E, all of the above. NDE technicians are usually qualified in accordance with the requirements of letter A, AWS D1.1, letter B, API 1104, letter C, ASNT SNT TC-1A, letter D, ASME Section 8, letter E, ASME Section 9. So let's run through all of the standards here. So AWS D1.1 is for structural welding. API 1104 is for pipeline welding for the oil and gas industry. ASME 8 is the boiler and pressure vessel code, while ASME 9 is the BPVC volume for welding, brazing. This is where the guidance for WPS-PQR and WPQR are based on for pressure vessels, which leaves us to letter C, which is the standard in which these NDE technicians are qualified for. In GMAW, the type of metal transfer requiring a special power source is letter A, spray, letter B, globular, letter C, pulsed arc, letter D, short circuiting, letter E, open arc. So the type of metal transfer for gas metal arc welding that requires a special power source is pulsed arc. So because it has to produce a direct current output to allow the welder to vary the combination of high and low current, thus a pulsed arc. So the answer here is letter C. Which of the following is considered to be the most portable method of magnetization when conducting a magnetic particle test? Letter A, AC coil. Letter B, AC yoke. Letter C, DC coil. Letter D, DC prod. Letter E, headshot. So the most portable method when conducting a magnetic particle test or MPT is the AC yoke because they come in lightweight units. So the answer here is letter B. Which of the following contains ferrous base metal specifications? Letter A, AWSD 1.2. Letter B, ASME Section 2, Part C. Letter C, AWS A 5.1. Letter D, ASME Section 5. Letter E, ASME Section 2, Part A. So AWSD 1.2 refers to structural welding of aluminum. ASME Section 2, Part C refers to the welding rods, electrodes, and filler metals. AWS A5.1 is for SMAW carbon steel electrodes. So normally for AWS A5, they refer to electrodes. The number just differs for the different welding processes there. ASME5 is the NDE code, which leaves us to letter E. So the answer here is letter E. ASME Section 2 Part A refers to ferrous base metal specifications or metal specifications with iron bases. By the way, I just want to take a break from the video and remind you of the free Udemy course that I've put in the description down below. So it composes of CWI Part A lectures, the introduction for welding inspectors. So you can check out the description below for that free Udemy course. Now back to the video. A welding process commonly used to join light gauge stainless steel tubing for critical applications is letter A SMAW, letter B GMAW, letter C gas tungsten arc welding, letter D OFW, letter E FCAW. Of all the processes mentioned, GTAW can join light gauge stainless steel tubing for clean or critical applications. So the keyword here is critical application. So that will mean that it will be required for example, very clean or food, beverage, or even oxygen applications that will be necessary for a clean or critical service. GTAW is commonly used for these process because they produce no slag and provides a clean weld unlike the other welding processes in the choices. So you can't use stick, for example, in this scenario because it will just produce slag, which you don't want in this instance. ET can be used to detect which of the following. So ET is eddy current testing. A, material conductivity. B, material hardness. Thin material thickness. Materials heat treatment. Or E, all of the above. So eddy current testing or electromagnetic testing can measure conductivity, hardness, material thickness, and heat treatment condition. So the normal application of eddy current testing is used for example, evaluation of heat exchanger tubes by passing an inside diameter test coil inside of the tube, which reveals a host of defects if there are any. And these properties will be detected as well. So the answer there is letter E, all of the above. The marking of a rejectable weld should, letter A, be clear and understandable to all involved, be made with a steel impression stamp, note the proper repair procedure, always be in red, always include the welder's identification. So if an inspector is marking a rejectable weld, it should be clear to all stakeholders, which the answer here is letter A. So letter B might imply that it should be clear, but this does not mean that it will be clear for all. So still impression stamp can be erased in due time. For letter C, the repair procedure may or may not be determined immediately and will depend on the defects. Letter D does not make any sense there. Letter E, weld package does include some kind of a welder ID, which this choice refers to. So when a reject weld has been done, the welder can repair, but it's not marked. So it's on a different document altogether. So the answer here is letter A. A single V-groove weld always requires letter A, special welding processes, B, back gouching, C, backing bar, D, no root opening, E, CPJ unless otherwise specified. So CPJ or complete joint penetration is what is being meant here. So the answer here is Letter letter E. So a single V groove always requires a complete joint penetration. An incomplete joint penetration can be done, but it has to be specified in the drawing. So that's the answer there.